Well, I should actually start today by apologizing to Dean Kozer for the incredibly sweaty handshake that I just gave her. I'm quite nervous, but I'm nervous because of our good friend, the Carlson grading curve. We've all experienced this, right? You walk in on the first day of the semester and you kind of scope things out, see who your competition is for the semester. Hopefully, you want to see the kids, who are half asleep or dialed in on their Facebook or chugging the Red Bulls to get rid of the hangover. And then there's the other kids, the tryhards, the curve setters, the ones who come with a textbook already highlighted and a thick stack of notes and 20 color-coded pens all lined up ready to go. You know who you are. Now, when you see those kids, that's when you start to get nervous. Well, let me tell you that nervous feeling takes on a whole nother meaning when you look around and the only other person on your curve is a CEO who didn't use any notes. In all seriousness, I just want to share my story today. Unlike many of you, my Carlson journey does not begin as a freshman 4 years ago. In fact, I came to the U of M to study neuroscience with aspirations of becoming a doctor. And while Dean Kozer said it was a long, reflective process, that lasted about 2 weeks. For someone who had never heard of a synergy or a core competency or a deliverable, deciding to pursue a business degree was a big switch, to say the least. I'm often asked what the most challenging part of my transfer was. And while yes, the realization that I would have to trade in my sweatpants and sweatshirt for Sperry's and a crisp button-down every day was traumatic, it wasn't the biggest obstacle I faced. Instead, it was a much more fundamental issue. My greatest challenge was figuring out what business means. What was I, what am I getting myself into? What are we getting ourselves into? Now, as I stand at the precipice of the real world, I still don't know if I can fully answer that question. And I admit, it's a bit odd to be asking at our commencement. Isn't the answer what our tuition dollars have been paying for all these years? In any case, if you'll indulge me here today, I'd like to make just a little more progress on that question before we walk out the doors one last time. To do so, I want to turn to something that served as my guiding light as I navigated that transition from a neuroscience major to a finance major my sophomore year. I have with me today a book. It was published in 1891. It's titled simply The Business Guide. It belonged to my great-great-grandfather, but it was given to me by my grandfather, who is himself a businessman and is actually with us here today. So I want to pause for just a second. Now, my grandpa is a true Golden Gopher in every sense of the word. He has religiously attended Gopher football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and women's volleyball games since 1954. He has cheered for our teams, and I had to look this up, in 5 different stadiums under the leadership of 42 different coaches and 16 athletics directors. He and my grandma have made the round trip, by my estimation, over 1,000 times to sing our fight song and yell Sky-Yuma. Grandpa, you've been a tremendous influence on my life, and I think it would be nice if, for someone who has spent the better part of his life cheering for Gophers in our stadiums, if we could have a proud Gopher stadium to cheer for him. Grandpa? Thank you. You're all very kind. So, back to our task at hand. Now, this book that I showed you contains some fundamental truths about what business is. It's advice that I think we would all be wise to remember after we receive our diplomas today. It's advice that is, in my opinion, even more relevant today than when this type was set over 120 years ago. And I'd like to share just 3 lessons with you today. The first comes from a section entitled Practical Rules for Success. It reads, "To industry and economy add self-reliance. Do not take too much advice. Think for yourself. Independence will add vigor and inspiration to your labors." We've done a lot of working in teams during our years at this school, and you gotta hand it to them. The Carlson School does a remarkable job convincing us that the most efficient way to write a 10-page paper is with 6 complete strangers. And while I don't think that we'll ever escape the team-centric nature of our profession, to me, this instead boils down to the importance of critical thinking. Sure, we can all recite the 5 P's of marketing or plug and chug our way through a discounted cash flow, but as we graduate, it is time to put those things aside. The fundamentals are important, yes, but the problems that we will face as business leaders do not take the shape of a problem set or a worksheet. A great many challenges lie ahead for us, but above all else, believe in yourself. Believe in your abilities. Always have a perspective, always have an opinion. Focus on why you believe in a particular course of action and confidently execute. I'll next turn to the How to Do Business section of my book, which reads, kindness of manners is the best capital to invest in a business and will bear a higher rate of interest than any other investment. I'm willing to bet that each of us has experienced an act of kindness in our time at Carlson that we won't easily forget. For me, it was a roommate, one who during my transition pointed me to all the right resources that I could use to make my time at this school truly special. No matter what kindness that you've been shown, don't forget it. I know, I'm preaching to the choir a little bit here with us being Minnesota nice and all, but strive to be kind in all that you do. Strive to be someone who your friends and colleagues will someday look back upon as someone whose kindness made a difference in their success. It's the people with us today, our friends, our family, our professors, who have made a difference in our success. And today is the day that we start paying it forward. Strive to make the spirit of kindness a defining feature of the class of 2015. I'll finish today with a passage from Business Maxims, and it reads, quite simply, undertake no business without mature reflection. This simple line was for me the most powerful. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter whether you want to go into business to help others, to follow a passion, or to simply make a lot of money. What does matter is that you can say that you've thought about why business is right for you and can articulate to yourself what that reason is. As an aspiring physician, my desire was to make the world a better place, if even for just one person. And that's still my goal today. So one of my biggest qualms about becoming a business student was whether I would actually be able to do that. It required profound personal reflection. Thankfully for me, the answer was pretty simple, and I'll use a little illustration to help me out. Since this old book here was published, the rise of the legitimacy of business as a discipline, combined with the Industrial Revolution, allowed 1 billion people on our planet to achieve a state of economic self-determinism. Now, that may seem significant, and it is. But in the words of Bill Nye the Science Guy, consider the following. By the time our careers are over in 2060, and wow, think about that for a minute, demographers put the number of people in the world somewhere between 8 and 9 billion. The implication here is clear. There will still be 7 billion people on our planet who cannot call themselves self-determinant in an economic sense. Business touches everyone in some way, and it will be the fruits of our labors, whether it's the finance people creating efficient markets, the MIS folks creating global networks, the marketers getting products to the people who need them the most. Indeed, it is all of us who will begin to decrease the magnitude of that number. It's a weighty charge, and it's an inspiring call to service. So what's the point in all of this? Have we answered the question that my sophomore self pondered? What are we getting ourselves into? Can our profession really be summed up in 3 short sentences published over a century ago? Of course not. The beauty of the degree we receive today, a degree in business, is that it represents boundless opportunity. This degree means something different to me, and it means something different to you and to the friends seated on either side of you. But no matter what path we each take, the Carlson School has given us everything we need to be successful in our careers. Frameworks and strategies, relationships, understanding. It is now up to us to build upon these assets and grow as world citizens. So the only remaining question is how? And today I, and my little book, humbly offer the following. Think. Be kind. Take time to reflect. But that can all start tomorrow. For now, be proud of what you've accomplished. In this moment, be proud of each other, because we made it. Congratulations, class of 2015.